Here we are at Kharsundi, a little village atop the Vindhya hills of Maharashtra. The atmosphere here is very serene and green. This place is soon going to be a holy pilgrimage for us Malankarites.
Indeed, it is very significant for us Malankarites. This is the eparchal center of the youngest Malankara Catholic diocese, Saint Ephraim, Khadki, Pune. The foundation stone was laid 4 years ago, and in this time, we already have a CBSE school, St. Mary's School, Kharsundi, and our very own minor seminary with 17 students.
Today, we have arranged a little informal chat with our Abun, Most Reverend Thomas Mar Antonios, the visionary behind the development of this very center.
യേശുമിശിഹായ്ക്ക് സ്തുതിയായിരിക്കട്ടെ.
We are privileged to have your gracious presence on the occasion of your feast. You have completed 4 decades as a priest, and out of which 1 decade as a bishop. So when you look back, how do you see your vocation? And have you been able to live up to your dreams?
I see my vocation as a gift of God. Life itself is for me a gift, and added to that gift, my vocation to be a priest and then later to be a bishop is a gift of God. I am thankful to God that I had been called to this priestly ministry through a religious life in Bethany Ashram, and later now as bishop to serve the entire church, especially now as an eparchial bishop. I have always an experience of a fulfillment of my life in my vocation. When I look back at my life and my pastoral activities, I see that there is a fulfillment, a happiness, which, if I borrow the words of Pope Francis, there is a joy of living my vocation. There is a joy of living my life as a priest, and that always motivates me. So this joy of living the vocation and the joy of living helps me always to surpass all the difficulties from time to time which I have to encounter. And then, see, as a priest, as any human being, as a Christian, my vision should be in Jesus Christ, and more especially as a bishop, as a priest, my vision should be in Jesus Christ. And that vision of Jesus Christ, who has entrusted me a particular vocation with its pastoral responsibilities, always keeps me moving ahead, in spite of the difficulties that I may face. My experience in my life is that whatever I have hoped for and yearned for, that have been fulfilled in my life. But there have been challenges. But God has always given me the grace to overcome these challenges. When I look at my life, I see that my life is not extraordinary. It is an ordinary life. And in an ordinary life, there is an ordinary way of responding to God's call. And God has also chosen an ordinary way to shower His blessings upon me. So there is nothing extraordinary which I see in my life, but what is ordinary, through that God has always kept me moving forward. And I am thankful to that. In that sense, I never had a setback in my life. And even when there were demerits, God has held me in His hands.
Pidave, as you complete 40 years in the service of Lord, we are curious to know who had been your role model during your growing up days. How and when did you realize your call for priesthood, and why did you choose Bethany Ashram to realize the call?
I had an inclination for spiritual life, for ecclesial life, right from the beginning of my childhood to those days which I can recall. As I said already, there is nothing extraordinary or any extraordinary event that has led me to this vocation. I grew up with it. So right from my childhood, there was always an urge in me to become a priest. And this was always fostered by my parents. And the moment I joined the primary school of my own parish, Adur, Sacred Heart Church, there were the DM sisters. I still remember from the very first standard onwards, these sisters who taught me there, sisters like Reverend Sister Colette, Reverend Sister Rosalia, and others, they have encouraged me in this, as if they had earmarked me for the priesthood. So this was always an encouragement for me. And then it was the time when I finished my primary schooling. It was the time when English medium schools were started in Kerala, and our own Adur had the Holy Angels was starting. So I belonged to the second batch of that school. And there also the sisters were teaching. And they really encouraged me further. When I completed my 7th standard, I joined the government school at Adur. Then the sisters thought, if I go and continue in the government school, I may lose my vocation. So one of the sisters, Reverend Sister Aloysius, that time, she had a plan. And then she contacted the Bethany fathers who were at Kattanam, St. Stephen's Church and Bethany Ashram and our Popeye school. So at that time, with the consulting Reverend Father Ambrose OIC, I was sent to the Apostolic School of Bethany Ashram at Kattanam. That's how I came in contact with the Bethany fathers. From then onwards, I have never looked back. When I was sent by the DM sisters to the Apostolic School, they said, yes, you go and try. If you want, you can join Bethany Ashram, otherwise we can later join the seminary. But once I was admitted, after the first semester onwards, I never looked back because Bethany Ashram always became a fascination for me. The prayer life there, the community life there, and their dedication to the church. And they are religious as well as priests. So both these combined in one had further attracted me, and that's how I took a decision to join Bethany Ashram. Who are my role models? There too, I would repeat, I have no extraordinary persons as role models. Of course, one's role model is always Jesus Christ, and practically then the saints. So I have read the life of many saints at that time, especially at the beginning of my formation. All these saints have attracted me. But my role models, right from the beginning, my own parish priests were my role models. The DM sisters were my role models. In Bethany Ashram, first I was taught, or I was under the guidance of one Reverend Father Chrysostom Senior. At that time itself, he was a senior priest. So he was my master at that time. He was always a role model for me. He encouraged his spiritual life, was a role model for me. I have always appreciated his life and his love and his pastoral approach and so on. Then in Bethany Ashram, I was first taught by Reverend Father Louis Mulavittil. Then my novice master was Reverend Father Bosco. His visions, his spiritual visions and his human approach has really affected my life in forming my spiritual visions. That has helped me. His vision, his approach, his attitude to asceticism and religious life has encouraged me so much. Thereafter, the lives of the early fathers of Bethany Ashram, that time the senior fathers like Father Jacob, Father Pacomios, Father Raphael, and so on, has really motivated my life. Then at that time when I was in the major seminary in Bethany Ashram, Pune, Father Cyril, later Cyril Mar Baselios, he was my superior general. His life and attitude, his vision of the church, that has attracted me and attracted me a lot. Then the life of Reverend Father Jerome, as well as later my rector, Reverend Father Berkmans. All these were great personalities, and their life has really attracted me. So in my personality formation, in my spiritual visions, all these people who have touched my life or had something to do with my life has really motivated me and formed me in my life. During my seminary days, I had a Holy Cross father, Father Abraham, as my spiritual director. He was also an expert in counseling. So his visions and his human approach has really touched my life, and in my visions of human approach and pastoral application, his counseling, his advices has shaped my life. So this is what I can actually share about my role models. So instead of concentrating on any particular person as such, these are the people who have, or there are many others also, who have touched my life, and that has actually formed me. And in the realm of spiritual life, certainly the life and vision of Mari Vanius naturally, as a Bethanian, it affects me. It shapes our life. Now, after a while, after priesthood, I had more chances of learning about his life, and I am so thankful to God that his life has touched me after my priesthood, after being ordained a priest, in my pastoral approach, his vision for the Malankara Church in general, and his vision for the Malankara Catholic Church in particular has very much affected, touched my life. Then later, by God's providence, I happened to be the postulator of the cause of canonization. That means a deeper study into the life and vision of Mari Vanius, and that is what that is urging me and helping me, inspiring me to go ahead now as a bishop. Or in all my pastoral approach, the vision, the life and vision of Mari Vanius is inspiring me.
പിതാവേ, അങ്ങയുടെ ബാല്യകാലത്തിനപ്പുറം അങ്ങയുടെ മാതാപിതാക്കന്മാർ, അങ്ങയുടെ കുടുംബം, അങ്ങയുടെ ദൈവവിളിക്ക് മുൻപും പിൻപും ഏതൊക്കെ രീതിയിൽ അങ്ങയെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നൊന്ന് പറയാമോ?
ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ദൈവവിളിയുടെ ആരംഭത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് നിങ്ങളോട് പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുകയുണ്ടായല്ലോ. ദൈവവിളി നൈസർഗികമായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് ലഭിച്ചുവെന്ന് ഞാൻ പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുമ്പോൾ അതെൻ്റെ കുടുംബത്തിൽ നിന്നും എൻ്റെ മാതാപിതാക്കളിൽ നിന്നുമാണ് എനിക്ക് ലഭിച്ചത്. ഞങ്ങൾ 6 മക്കളാണ്, ഞാൻ 5ാമത്തെ ആളാണ്. എന്തുകൊണ്ടോ ചെറുപ്പം മുതൽ തന്നെ എൻ്റെ മാതാപിതാക്കൾ എന്നെ ഈ കാര്യത്തിനായിട്ട് പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ട് പ്രോത്സാഹിപ്പിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിനുശേഷം ഞാനൊരു കത്തോലിക്ക സ്കൂളിലും കത്തോലിക്ക അന്തരീക്ഷത്തിലുമായിട്ട് പഠനം ആരംഭിച്ചപ്പോൾ അതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട വൈദികരും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട സിസ്റ്റേഴ്സും എന്നെ പ്രോത്സാഹിപ്പിക്കുമ്പോഴും എൻ്റെ മാതാപിതാക്കളുടെ പ്രാർത്ഥനയാണ് എനിക്ക് എപ്പോഴും ഒരു ശക്തിയായിട്ട് നിലനിൽക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ശൈശവം മുതൽ ഉള്ളതായ ആ പ്രോത്സാഹനത്തോടൊപ്പം അപ്പസ്തോലിക് സ്കൂളിൽ പോകുവാനായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ മാതാപിതാക്കൾ ആ സമയത്ത് തന്നെ വിടുന്നതിനോട് അത്ര താല്പര്യമില്ലായിരുന്നുവെങ്കിലും എൻ്റെ ദൈവവിളിയിൽ ഉറച്ചു നിൽക്കുവാൻ ഇത് സഹായിക്കുമെന്നുള്ളതിനാൽ അവരെന്നെ ആ കാര്യത്തിന് പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ട് പ്രോത്സാഹിപ്പിച്ചു. പിന്നീട് തുടർന്നുള്ളതായ കാലയളവിൽ എപ്പോഴും ഇവരുടെ പ്രാർത്ഥന എനിക്ക് എപ്പോഴും ഒരു വലിയ അഭയമായിരുന്നു. ഞാനിപ്പോഴും ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, എപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ അവധിക്ക് വീട്ടിലായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ, കുടുംബ പ്രാർത്ഥനയിലായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ അപ്പച്ചന് നടത്തുന്നതായ സന്ധ്യാനമസ്കാരത്തിൻ്റെ അവസാനത്തിലുള്ളതായ സ്പോണ്ടേനിയസ് പ്രയറിൻ്റെ അവസരത്തിൽ എൻ്റെ മകനെ കർത്താവിൻ്റെ മുന്തിരിത്തോട്ടത്തിൽ ജോലി ചെയ്യുവാൻ ഉള്ള ഒരു ഭൃത്യനാക്കി തീർക്കണം എന്ന് ഞാൻ കേൾക്കെ തന്നെ അപ്പച്ചൻ എന്നും പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുന്നതായ പ്രാർത്ഥന ഞാൻ കേൾക്കെ തന്നെ പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുമ്പോൾ അതെനിക്ക് കൂടുതൽ ഒരു ഇൻസ്പിറേഷൻ ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. പലപ്പോഴും ഒരു ടെംപ്റ്റേഷനോ ദൈവവിളിയിലുള്ളതായ ക്രൈസിസ് ചില അവസരത്തിലൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാകുന്നതായ അവസരത്തിലും ഈ പ്രാർത്ഥന എൻ്റെ ചെവികളിൽ മുഴങ്ങുന്നത് പോലെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുമായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ മാതാപിതാക്കളുടെ ഈ നിരന്തരമായ പ്രോത്സാഹനവും പ്രാർത്ഥനയുമാണ് ഈ ജീവിതത്തിൽ എന്നെ നിലനിർത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ എൻ്റെ സഹോദരങ്ങളും അതുപോലെ തന്നെയാണ് എപ്പോഴും ഈ കാര്യത്തിൽ എന്നോട് ചേർന്ന് നിന്നിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഇന്നും സ്വർഗത്തിലിരുന്നു കൊണ്ട് മാതാപിതാക്കൾ എനിക്ക് വേണ്ടി പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതായ ഒരു ചിന്ത എനിക്ക് ഉണ്ട്. എൻ്റെ സഹോദരങ്ങളും അവരുടെ കുടുംബങ്ങളും പിന്നെ കൊച്ചുമക്കളും എല്ലാം ഇപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ഈ ശുശ്രൂഷയോടെ പ്രാർത്ഥനാപൂർവ്വം ചേർന്ന് നിൽക്കുന്നു. അവരുടെ സ്നേഹവും ഒക്കെ ഇതിന് വലിയ പ്രോത്സാഹനമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതാണ് എനിക്ക് പൊതുവേ എൻ്റെ ദൈവവിളിയെക്കുറിച്ചും മാതാപിതാക്കളുടെ പ്രാർത്ഥനയെക്കുറിച്ചുമുള്ളതായ എൻ്റെ ഓർമ്മയും അവരെ ദൈവത്തിരുമുമ്പിൽ കൃതജ്ഞതയോടുകൂടി ഞാനെപ്പോഴും ഓർക്കുന്നത് അങ്ങനെ തന്നെയാണ്. മാതാപിതാക്കൾക്കുള്ള ഒരു ഭാഗ്യം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഓരോ പരിശുദ്ധ കുർബാനയിലും അവരെ പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ട് ഓർത്ത് പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എൻ്റെ ജീവിത സാഫല്യത്തോടൊപ്പം അവർക്ക് ദൈവം നൽകുന്നതായ ഒരു സമ്മാനവും കൂടിയാണ്, പൗരോഹിത്യത്തിൽ നൽകുന്നതായ ഒരു സമ്മാനം കൂടിയാണ് അത്.
Pidave, as you mentioned on how Marivanios has inspired your life, we would like to know how has the appointment as the postulator for the cause of canonization of sainthood of Marivanios inspired, and this experience in this process helped you in your pastoral life?
I was appointed the postulator of the cause of canonization of Marivanios in our Malankara Catholic ecclesial level. And I consider it as a great blessing. And I am so fortunate that I could hold that office and work for the cause, as well as work for the entire Malankara Catholic Church. And that is now inspiring me in my episcopal ministry and my service in the church. With this, what I have gained is, to be part of this canonization process and to be instrumental in that process, and one day Marivanios is declared a saint in the church. You can imagine what kind of sentiments I will have. So that is a free gift for me by God in my vocation as well as in my pastoral life. That is one of the sentiments I always caress and nurse in my life. Secondly, I as a Bethanian has learned about the spirituality and charism of Marivanios. But this particular appointment has helped me to go deep into the life and mission and the spirituality and charism of Marivanios, and present it to the world, and especially present it to the entire universal church and to the office of the canonization in Rome, and present it in such a way that to prove that he is worthy to be considered for the cause of canonization, and to bring forth his heroic virtues that would make him eligible to be declared as a saint in the church. And today I can say that I live by that spirit in my episcopal ministry and my life in the church. And this is also an occasion to spread the vision and the mission of Marivanios in the entire Catholic Church, and very particularly in the Malankara Catholic Church. By studying deeply and doing research into that, it has really transformed my life, transformed my vision of Marivanios, and what really the reunion movement itself is. The reunion movement is a movement to be in unity with God and to be in unity with the church. And every Christian is called to this unity. And in the historical context of the Malankara Church, when I say Malankara Church, the undivided Malankara Church, which got itself separated from the universal church, I could understand more deeply what the reunion movement is. So the reunion movement is not simply bringing a few sheep which has lost is the sheepfold back to the sheep, but it is actually transmitting the entire plan of God and the vision of Jesus about unity, that they all may be one. As you, Father, are in me and I am in you, that they should all be one in us. So to bring that vision of Jesus, and that was the vision of Mary Vanius, and that is the vision of unity for the church today, and that was what spurred Mary Vanius to strive or that helped him to begin this reunion movement. So I could understand the whole phenomenon, the whole event and process in a better perspective. So that is what I had experienced. Then I could also understand what exactly canonization is and who is a saint. A saint is a person who has lived an ordinary life but with extraordinary virtues, and especially the virtues of faith, hope and charity. All of us live these virtues, but the saints live it in an extraordinary and a heroic way. That means in so deep as it is possible for a human person. So that is the difference between Saint Paul calls us also, calls all Christians as saints, but those people who are declared saints in the church, they are a model for the entire Christian community, entire believers, because they have lived those virtues in an extraordinary, in a heroic way. So that I could really understand, and then I could really appreciate the meaning or the fact of intercession to the saints and so on.